Welcome to Law Next. For years, legal tech companies have built their visibility around a familiar playbook. Get covered by journalists, cited by analysts, and ranked by Google. But generative AI is rewriting that playbook in real time. Now, when a potential buyer asks ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini to recommend a solution, the question is no longer whether your company ranks on page one, but whether you show up in the answer at all. My two guests today are the heads of longtime legal marketing and PR competitors who decided to form a strategic partnership specifically to address that shift. Amy Jewers is CEO of Edge Marketing, a boutique firm she founded in 1997 that serves legal tech and accounting companies. Valerie Chan is CEO of Platform, a strategic communications firm working across legal, cybersecurity, and other regulated markets. Together, they've launched a new framework they call the Trusted Answer Growth System, designed to help organizations become the trusted answer whenever buyers seek guidance from AI. Today's episode, Amy and Val explain what changes when LLMs, not search engines, sit between a company and its buyers, why earned media and third-party credibility may matter more than ever, what happens when AI gets a company's story wrong, and why they decided they were better off working together than apart. I'm Bob Ambrogi, and this is Law Next, the podcast that features the innovators and entrepreneurs who are driving what's next in law. Before we get to any of that, please take a moment to hear from the sponsors whose generosity supports this podcast. You deserve a practice management software tailor-made for your practice. That's where Meriscase comes in. Designed specifically for workers' compensation, employment and labor, and insurance defense firms, Meriscase works the way you do. From intelligent document automation to specialized workflows that understand jurisdiction-specific requirements, Meriscase eliminates the workarounds you've been forced to create. Reduce administrative burdens and deliver better client outcomes with software that speaks your language. Transform your practice efficiency today at Meriscase.com. That's MERUSCASE.com. You didn't go to law school to waste time writing and responding to discovery requests. Never waste time on discovery again with BriefPoint. BriefPoint drafts your discovery responses and requests for documents within minutes of your first sign-in. BriefPoint is the most reliable discovery drafting solution on the market, and it works right out of the box. Get your first document drafted by going to briefpoint.ai and clicking Get Started. No credit card required. BriefPoint. Draft what matters, automate the rest. Now let's get to that conversation with Amy Jewers and Valerie Chan. Amy and Val, welcome to Law Next. Glad to have you here.
Hi, Bob.
Thanks for having us.
me.
Yeah. So before, we've got a lot we want to talk about today, but to kind of set the stage, just let's take a second to have each of you introduce yourselves for anybody watching or listening right now who may not be familiar with you. Believe it or not, that could be possible. So, Amy, let's start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Bob. So Amy Jewers, I'm CEO of Edge Marketing, and the agency next year will be going on its 30th year in business, which is kind of crazy to say, but we are a boutique marketing and PR firm that services legal technology and service provider companies, as well as we play in the accounting channel as well. And we're really happy to be here today and just loving all of this transformational change is happening in the industry, and I'm excited to talk about what Valerie and I are doing together here and into the future.
And obviously,
Great.
you were just an infant when the company was founded, but congratulations on nearing that milestone.
Thank you.
And Val, how about you?
I am the CEO of Platform PR. We're a boutique agency focused on strategic communication, serving regulated markets. So some of the markets that we serve include the legal market, the cybersecurity market, insurance, energy, and we have a couple of clients actually in the space industry as well. So it's been fun working with them, and just been fun actually seeing the legal tech market grow up over the last, can't believe, 15, 20 years. Someone wished me a 20-year anniversary. I'm like, no, I wasn't. It hasn't been 20 years. And I don't think it has. As an agency, we actually formed and became a real full-fledged agency about 6 years ago. So it's been an exciting ride since then, since seeing like the relativities kind of come up. We just remember them when they were a startup, and now they're celebrating, I don't know, 20 something years. So just super fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Same thing with Xtero.
I knew you when, Val, because we worked
Mhm.
together when you were first getting started, and a company that I was a consultant to, and you were also a consultant to. So we go back a
Absolutely.
ways.
Yes, we do.
Um,
Yes, we do.
so I mean, I would certainly have thought of the two of you as competitors in this space, and yet here we are on this podcast talking about a partnership between your two companies. You've just launched something you're calling the Trusted Answer Growth System, and you're partnering to do that. So, what's going on? What's going on here? Tell us what it is you're doing. Who wants to kick it off? Amy, you want to start? Or
Sure. Yeah. So, I've always completely respected Valerie as a competitor, but now we are friends and we are partners. So it's just kind of fun how this has all come together. Valerie approached me and she's like, "Hey, I really like what you're doing," and I said, "I respect you as well." And we just started brainstorming on things that we could do together. And we also both, as agency owners and you know people that need to be at the bleeding edge of what's happening in the world of marketing and PR, we found out just through conversations that we're better together. And she has strengths in some areas, and we have strengths in other areas, and that's just basically kind of in a nutshell how we got here today. That's the quick story about it. The long story, that's another whole nother
Yeah.
podcast. But anyhow, so we're here. We just found that there's so much happening in the world of marketing, PR, and AI, and how it's influenced it. And I think it's safe to say that marketing is probably one of the first things that people, when they started thinking about AI and using AI, started experimenting with. And so we felt the effects of that on the PR side too. And so we've definitely come up with what we believe is a wonderful plan, a solution, a platform, and a workflow that we can bring our clients through to help them just navigate this transformational change that's happening in the world that we're living in today. Valerie?
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's right, Amy. I think a couple of things. I think when we were talking, I think it was last year and then even early into this year, we just realized that both firms were already successfully and independently. And I think being able to operate and have a shared view of where the market's going, that actually happened at the top of the year, like really understanding that our collective clients were facing an environment where AI was changing so rapidly on how clients that could get seen and by different LLMs, and the hype curve, as the Gartner curve, early adopter to just becoming more mainstream, just really happened so quickly, around the March timeframe. And that's when we figured out, okay, we have to adapt as well. And we decided to partner on a variety of different AI initiatives. This is the first to really help our clients through this transition to becoming AI native. And that's really where the partnership kind of took off. How do we help our clients assess the opportunity? How do we help them manage through this change? And how do we help our clients be visible, especially with where they want to go, and actually be at the forefront of innovation over the next 2 years, over the next 4 years? And so that's when we came together and put to put together a framework and a coordinated service model to help clients thrive in an AI first world. So yeah,
Can you talk a
it's
little bit
been
more about
fun.
what the premise is here? Because it's to me, as somebody who obviously covers the legal tech
Hmm.
industry, I am fascinated by how the dynamics feel like they're changing rapidly. I mean, for years, legal tech companies kind of, I think they focused on wanting to get covered by journalists, cited by analysts.
Yeah.
There was the element of SEO and all of that, but what's changing now? How is generative AI in particular changing how potential buyers discover and learn about the products on the market out there?
Yeah, so if you think about how just the proliferation of the LLMs, I'm just going to lump them all into LLMs. So what I mean by that is Chat
Sure.
GPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, Copilot, you know, the common ones that now people are, okay, I need to find out what this is. I need to use it. It can help me. They're using it in their daily lives, but they're also experimenting, and probably a lot of people using it regularly in their work lives. And they're seeing like the power of this technology and what it can do. And
Hmm.
so as they're using it more and they're growing exponentially, as we all know, I mean, if you look at the IPOs and whatever else that are happening, um, it's not going away. It's not going away, and it's changing how people are operating. It's changing how people are finding solutions to their problems, and it's just changing that whole entire buyer journey. And so when you think about the buyer journey, if a law firm's out there and they have an issue or a problem and they want to solve it, what are they going to do? They might go to Google, they might go to Chat, they might go to Claude and just say, hey, I have this problem, help me solve it. And that's a lot different behavior than thinking about 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, even. If somebody had a problem, they would go to Google and they would say, find a law firm near me or whatever it would be. I mean, they're just more like, it was more like a robotic, question, but now it's more of a conversational kind of interaction that people are learning to have with these systems, with these LLMs, to where they really are truly using them in a different way. And so what the big shift is that obviously they're becoming popular. It's not going away. We need to figure this out. But in terms of how the buyer is trying to find a solution to their problem, um, how they get to that point of making a decision and picking up the phone and calling you or emailing you or whatever, that experience is different. And so this system and workflow that we're building is to help our clients adjust how they're presenting themselves in the marketplace so that they are found and cited by these LLMs, so that
Hmm.
they make the list. It's like SEO, you want to be on page one. LLMs, you want to be in the answer.
That's
So is that,
correct.
I mean, so the name of what you're talking about is the trusted answer growth system. Is that suggest that this is all about establishing your company, yourself, as somehow a trusted answer to whatever the question is?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead,
And
Valerie.
Yeah.
oh no, it absolutely is. It's not just about making sure that you show up by in and because of your website, right? It's about how and where you are cited. Where are you located? Can you be found in publications? Can you be found on third party websites because of your partners? Are you known for particular, if you're a law firm, known for particular matters and practice areas that you are actually doing work on? And looking at what marketers actually look at the peso model, or at like what's paid, what's searched, what's earned, what's owned, and actually understanding what the mix is and how to utilize it so that you actually get picked up by an LLM is completely different because the searchability is different. And Amy can talk about that a little bit more, but because LMs pick up trusted sources differently, we need to think differently. And by thinking differently, we could then help our clients as well as, legal tech clients really be found, especially as companies are looking for and potential buyers are looking for the types of solutions that they have to offer. So, mhm.
Did you want to expand on that, Amy, or do you want?
I think that's good. I just,
Yeah.
thinking about the LLMs and what they're looking at today, there's like 3 different areas. One is just looking at websites and looking at the content that's on them that is answering questions. So people have to think about how they're presenting their H1 headings, like their titles and then their subtitles on their websites, to come across more like question and answers. LLMs really love that. And it's just a different way of thinking and a different way of framing up your website. But on top of that, the next thing is those other trusted sources, like going to LawNext and reading an article and a blog post where you're talking about their company or whatever else, and getting their name in ink per se. All of the earned media is becoming way more important because the LLMs like to see your name, your company name, your firm name in many places. And so that then bumps you up higher in terms of being a trusted source or resource for an answer. Awards is another one. So adding that third-party credibility per se, speaking engagements, podcasts, webinars, all of those assets are just carrying more weight nowadays. And PR and earned media, having, bylines in the leading trade publications is another weight factor too. And so if you're missing some of those pieces of the pie, you're not getting the full benefit of being cited and found and discovered by these LLMs. And so, some of those things I assume a lot of companies and firms are doing, but some of these things too, it's like if you're not doing them, you're probably missing out. And so our job as working, with our clients or whomever, or if you're in charge of marketing, PR, or, success at your organization, you have to look at where those weak spots are and find ways to strengthen them so that, the future is coming. I mean, there's no doubt that, if you think about how you do a traditional search on Google, you used to just get, the list. Now you get the AI answer first, right? And so you want to show up there. Paid ads, I don't know, it's going to come back eventually through the LLMs, et cetera. But for right now, you need to think about all of these assets that you can put into your website and then just out in the whole, internet sphere to help gain that credibility.
Speaking with 2 veteran legal PR and marketing CEOs about how AI is changing the ways legal professionals search for and find legal tech products. We're also talking about the partnership they've formed to help legal tech companies get seen in this new environment. We'll get right back to that conversation, but first, please take this opportunity to learn about the sponsors who so generously support this podcast. In your law practice, the details matter. That's why Meris Case is built exclusively for workers' compensation, employment and labor, and insurance defense practices. While generic solutions force compromises, Meris Case gives you purpose-built tools that understand your unique workflows. Seamlessly manage case documents, automate repetitive tasks, and reconcile payments with precision, all in one platform. Join the firms gaining a competitive advantage through truly specialized practice management. Discover the difference at meriscase.com. That's MERUSCASE.com. Every time admin taps your shoulder, legal work has to wait. Cosmolex is the end-to-end legal practice management software that takes the admin out of practicing law. Matters, billing, payments, and accounting work together so your firm can manage the full flow of work with fewer manual steps. Details stay connected, next steps stay on track, and your team stays focused on practicing law. Try it free at cosmolex.com. Welcome back to Law Next. My guest, Amy Jewers, the CEO of Edge Marketing, and Valerie Chan, the CEO of Platform, have launched a strategic partnership to help legal tech companies get seen in this new era of AI-powered search. We're talking today about what's changed for PR and marketing and how companies can adapt. Let's get back to that conversation. There's so much sort of lingo going on around how search is happening now. And we used to talk about SEO, and that used to be the thing. Now we have GEO for generative engine optimization, AEO for answer engine optimization, and I'm sure there are other
Now,
acronyms out there floating around. Yeah.
We had a team meeting and someone mentioned they're seeing XEO. So that's just like the whole umbrella term. So we might be referring to that in the future, near future. Yeah.
Exactly.
But so what does that really mean? I mean, how do you, through this new partnership, through this new process you've established, help companies kind of sort through all this and get seen?
Amy, you could take that one and I'll add to it.
No worries. Yes. So the process is, benchmark where you're at today, right? How are you performing today? How is your website performing today? And we've established a system and protocol to be able to determine that. And trust me, there are softwares out there that try to do it, but everything, Bob, as you know, is changing so fast. Like, I follow some of the most high-level thought leaders in AI and marketing and PR. I listen to their podcasts every Sunday. And even these people that have been studying and working on this every single day, every moment, every breath for years are having a hard time. They're drinking from the fire hose, right? And so what we have put together here is just a system that we feel strongly provides us that benchmark, tells us where the client or the organization is at in terms of performance against LLMs, performance against, some of their keywords or key phrases that they really want to be known for and be the answer for and be cited for, and establish where they're at today. Find those weak spots, because there usually are some, and then build up the content and the systems and the protocol and the programming to basically build that better fort and build that better system and website. And so looking at not only the content on your website page and the content that you're putting out there in the marketplace, you want it to be consistent, but you also want to frame it up so that the LLMs really and they love answers, right? And so if you think about a simple web page, rather than saying, marketing and PR services, you could say, do you need help getting your brand widely spread in the marketplace or something like that? So you just want to make sure that the content on the page is resonating with the LLMs, but also, there's the back-end schema markups, and then there's also those third-party validation resources. And, and we can't forget about SEO either, right? SEO is still there, and we still need to pay attention to that. And there's also like a threshold too, where if you turn every web page that you have into a question and answer FAQ kind of web page, that's not an enjoyable experience for the visitor or the potential client either. And so it's just really finding that healthy balance of where are these weak spots? We know what the LLMs are looking for. How do we fill that void? And then, put that into action. And so that's kind of a light version explanation of what the system is.
Right. I also kind of want to add to beyond the website and how, you're actually revising the website to be picked up by these LLMs. We got to think about credibility sources, the strategies that you are actually doing to be seen nowadays. Earned media, like podcasts like yours and publications are now more than ever more important because people are looking for trusted sources and looking for credibility and credible sources so that you can be seen. And so a lot of the clients that we're working with have revised even their content strategy, looking at ways where they can have more consistency throughout their entire marketing program. So, we're advising on owned, earned, and paid strategies. And normally we would just be advising on earned and owned strategies. So being able to kind of look at the full spectrum on where trusted authorities kind of lie or lay, however you look at it, um, is really important, and that gets picked up by an LLM in addition to the standard website. So these LLMs look at the whole landscape of where you are from a credibility perspective, and that's how you get known.
We've always been told with respect to Google that content is king. Is that still the case?
That is the case, but it's content that has authority and content that where with consistency of messaging that is now the case. So, as Amy had kind of talked about, the way you talking about yourself tends to be different nowadays. Making sure that you have consistency of message across all different mediums is super important because that actually lends more credibility to the company that you're trying to market. And before, consistency wasn't as much of a factor, and now it becomes a factor. Now the message matters more on what you say, how many times you say it, and then what particular source is able to cite you. That becomes a really credible, lends credibility to the companies that we represent.
What about just sort of more traditional approaches to public relations for legal tech companies? The tried and true tool is the press release. Been around for a
hmm
long time. Is there still a place for those sort of more traditional forms of PR, or is the entire approach that agencies such as yours bring to the market changing?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I know that PR is still incredibly important, and earned media and press releases and byline articles. Those, when you push those out or when they are published, you got to think about they're showing up in other credible, citable, referenceable, discoverable sources like law.com or, your outlets too. Bob, you have a few different ones. So I feel like there's
You better include mine on that list. Jeez.
absolutely. Otherwise, Amy cut out. I don't know where she went. No, we must have lost her. Anyways, so yeah, it's definitely important. It's part adding to that credibility layer. And now,
hmm
obviously we've always talked about PR in terms of SEO as well and helping, push that pedal. And so it's even more important now. If you think about like, I'll let Valerie go next, and then there's a couple
Yeah.
other points that maybe I can touch a little bit later. But yeah.
I think the practice of strategic comms has changed over the last couple of years. You know, a lot of the clients that come to us, I mean, we're known for strategy, and being able to provide strategic guidance has always kind of been a bigger forte for our agency. And just in the last year and a half, things have dramatically changed because, every single press release sounds the same. Strategies have to change. How do you rise above the noise? And so our clients are particularly looking for guidance on how do you rise above the noise? What does that actually look like? And our counsel has dramatically changed on how we do things, what we do, but not just the tactical measures, but the strategic measures, what we talk about, what we write about, or, what we help clients with. And so the ability to leapfrog ahead and actually provide practical guidance has now more than ever been more important. And I'm finding that, we've been able to be very successful to help our clients through this transformation with this, AI change management realm, so to speak, because we're doing a lot more change management programs than we otherwise would be, especially now. But we're also helping clients also through the marketing aspect, and helping with strategic comms has been super important as we navigate this. And so, like, yes, you can use Claude to create a byline article all you want. You could try to get it placed, but the messages and what you actually say is important, and the consistency across all the content that you create is more than ever more important than you ever have, especially since like writing, like a lot of publications that we work with, including yours, look for, AI. And so being able to have original thought is becoming more and more of of a way for clients to get recognized. So,
Mhm.
and authority for sure. Yeah.
Amy, you said there were a
Hopefully that
couple other
helps.
points you wanted to make on that. Was it?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway I want to talk about is, think about the buyer journey. Think about how you go to research and, get answers or look at new solutions for problems that you have. And when companies that are taking action on this now are going to be ahead of the curve, because I feel like what Valerie and I have put together is a program that is going to help these companies leapfrog. And I'm not saying that to brag or whatever. I'm just saying, like, we really need to get everybody on board with this, and the ones that are earlier with it are going to be the ones leading the charge here and getting more
Hmm.
coverage and getting more citations and getting more success in terms of discoverability. But think about buying a car. It's changed. How we buy cars today is different, right? We go online. We used to go to dealer, go down the road, to find a car and buy a car. But now you do 99% of your research online, and you find the one or two that you like. You go give a
Hmm.
test drive, and it's done. Or you just order online through Carvana. That's even easier. But anyway, so we have to think about the buyer journey in mind here, and the companies that make this transformational shift now are going to be ahead of the ones that are, not really concerned or don't think that it's a big concern. Because
Hmm.
when we started this podcast, we talked about the proliferation and exponential growth of these LLMs, and it's not going away. And so we're just trying to help our clients get to that next level before anybody else.
I'm not sure how much time you have. One other thing I was kind of wondering about,
Hmm.
kind of quickly, is uh, obviously I, like everybody else in the world, is using
Hmm.
Gen AI all the time, and sometimes I'm amazed if I'll go out and I'll try and generate a sort of a briefing on the background of a company, maybe before an
Hmm.
interview or something like that. I'm just amazed at how precise and detailed it can be, but sometimes it gets it really wrong.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it's not,
Hmm.
it's not just sort of hallucination so much as maybe it is a hallucination. I don't know, but sometimes Gen AI really gets wrong what a company does or what it's about. So is that something that can also be addressed? And is that something that you can help companies address when Gen AI gets them wrong?
That's a good question. My answer to that would be to make sure that you're doing all of the right things as much as you can now, so that it knows to pick up the right information. And I've heard this, and I truly believe it into my core, is that AI today is the dumbest it's ever going to be, right? Every
Hmm.
single day, it's getting better, smarter, more accurate. I don't think it'll ever be 100% accurate. Maybe
Hmm.
it will. I don't know. But we always need to, as the buyer, have that critical eye, have that, human, just don't leap, like, review. But yeah, that's to answer that question. I think you have to put the right information out consistently over time, and just hope that the AI doesn't hallucinate or just make stuff up. When
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have an answer, it makes stuff up. and that's and that's
Exactly.
Right.
pretty scary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it also brings to point, something that I think marketers are thinking about right now. What's happening with my job, right? The reality is that you will always need humans in the loop with whatever you do, whether it be law, whether it be marketing or whatnot. But we're at this phase now where, we're past early adoption. Everybody's like, oh, okay, what can I do with AI only, right? Versus a
Hmm.
marketer, and so much cheaper. And that's where you're going to run into a fallacy of how are you going to be known, because you might have information out there that is inaccurate, and only like a human can really correct that information and make sure that the LLMs pick up the right information of the companies that you represent. So
Yeah.
that really does make the case for humans in the loop for sure.
Yeah. Well, that right information point is a strikes me as a confusing one only because, as we all know, there is just so
Hmm.
much noise out there right now, and there are so many sources of the noise, and
Hmm.
at many of those sources, the noise itself is being generated by generative AI. I mean, if you're
Absolutely.
researching a company, you can find LinkedIn posts, you can find Reddit posts, you can find sort of so-called legitimate news outlets, but they're just all sorts of conversations on X, conversations on social media
Hmm.
about a
Hmm.
company. Are you able to ensure, or not ensure, but work with companies to make sure that generative AI is sort of doing a good job of sorting through the news to find the more legitimate and trusted sources out there, and getting what it reports about a company right based on those sources?
I could talk for our clients. The answer is yes. We can do as much as we possibly can, and we know services that actually help with that service as well. So there are paid services, there's paid subscriptions that we have access to that can actually help with that. I will not name what they are, but because we do a lot with OCM, sorry, organizational change management, crisis management, and strategic comms. That is one of our tools in our toolbox. So the answer is yes. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So, Edge and Platform have embarked on this partnership. What is it going forward? What does this mean? Does this mean that you are now on the edge of a combined platform here in some way, or what's happening going forward?
So Amy and I have partnered on a variety of different AI initiatives, really to help our clients, our combined client bases, really adopt to this new landscape. So this is the first of several types of collaborative efforts that we have embarked on together to offer the marketplace. There are times where Amy and her team have the expertise that we don't have, and then vice versa on some of the projects. And so, while we've been successful independently, like I mentioned before, some of the projects that we have embarked on, including some of the AI initiatives that we're doing right now, like a combined knowledge share in addition to market awareness, really does help the marketplace.
Well
All right.
said. Well
Yeah.
said.
All right. I
So
know
more
you're
to
both
come. More to
traveling, and
come.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Um, Anything else you want to say before we finish up here? Already closing thoughts.
It's a hard thing to put your finger on, and I encourage people to not get discouraged by maybe some, the hallucinations or the false information or whatever else. I do feel like AI is the dumbest it's going to be today, and Valor and I have embraced it, and we're not
Hmm.
we're not being fearful of it,
Yeah.
because it's not going away, and
Hmm.
Hmm.
it's definitely making everybody do a transformational shift, and we're it can be scary sometimes, but we're here to help everybody navigate through it however we can.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I think, I mean, we're at a stage now where every company needs to embrace transformation because we're at that phase. It just, if you don't change, because the market is 6 months is now the what 3 months is now the new 6 months, right? Or so it's been said. 1 month is, now the equivalent of what was formerly known as 1 or 2 years of marketing. If companies don't embrace the change and actually create new strategies and look at a wide variety of methods and shake up the marketing toolbox, so to speak, those companies will be obsolete in the next 6 months to a year. So embrace the change, like revisit your marketing strategies, rethink what the market's going to look like in the next 6 months, a year, 2 years, and plan for it because you really can plan for it, even though you may not think you can. So, and we're here to actually help our clients and help different companies through this change.
All right. Well, the news is the trusted answer growth system. Thanks to both of you for taking time out of your travels to come on the show and tell us about it. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to share your own thoughts or comments, please do so by messaging us on LinkedIn or other social media, or just email me directly at ambrogi@gmail.com. If you're a fan of the show, please leave us a review. LawNext is a production of LawNext Media. I'm your host, Bob Ambrogi. I hope you'll join us again next time for another episode of Law Next.